I'm back again, finally, after a little bit of a break, but I'll probably record a different video to talk about that. So I'm here today to talk about this pen, which is the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. And as a side note, I apologize that my nails are a hot mess right now. I kind of destroyed them yesterday and then hastily tried to paint them just before recording this so they would at least not look horrible. So I apologize for that in advance. Anyway, so today I want to look at this pen, the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. This pen is on loan to me for this review, and then it's going to be sent back off on its way to Canada again. So, okay, so let's first talk about kind of the parts of the pen. We'll do a little bit of the kind of the facts, and then we'll talk about what I like and dislike about the pen. So this guy comes in the same box that most of the other, higher end Pilot pens come in. I've had a few Vanishing Points come in this box. It's just a kind of classic black clamshell box. I like it because it's minimal. It's enough of a box to say, okay, this is a nice pen, but not so much that it just gets unwieldy, and they're nice and square, so they're easy to store. It's translucent, so you could store your pens in here and still be able to see what's going on. So I think for a pen case, it's a decent pen box. The little part in here opens up to reveal, usually it's a cartridge or a converter. This pen doesn't take a cartridge or a converter, it's a piston filler, so it just has kind of a Pilot use and care guide, and then this interesting little guy, which we will come back to later. So goodbye box. Boop. All right, so the pen itself. This is a demonstrator pen. I think they come in a couple of different colors, but I have only seen the clear one in the American market. So in the Japanese market, there might be other colors, but here it's just a clear demonstrator pen. It's got black on each of the ends. Let's see if I can get this to focus. Yep. So it's got black on the end, and on the butt end for the piston filler, it's kind of a clear black plastic. And then it's got kind of a smoky inner cap liner. You can see the nib through it, but it kind of strikes that good balance between, being too opaque and too transparent. It's got a pretty basic clip, just kind of a rounded end on that guy. Little band around the middle, not much for decorations, which is nice because, it's a demonstrator, so really the decoration is the ink sloshing around inside. It's got a little silver ring on the end here, and then the piston knob. So, opening it up. This one is a fine, and it's a silver colored nib. It's a gold nib, but it's like rhodium plated or whatever to be silver colored. It's got a clear section, which you may or may not be able to see very well because I have kind of a darker ink in this guy. And then it's got a little band here, and then the threads for the cap. And then, so here's your ink reservoir. It goes to about here, and then your piston mechanism down here. So, okay, let's talk about size. For me, this is a good size pen. I can give you a couple of others to compare it to that will hopefully give a kind of an impression of what the size is. Oh, focus. Okay, so here's the Custom Heritage 92. On the right here is a Lamy Vista, which is the same size as a Safari. Let's see if I can get all these guys lined up. And then a Vanishing Point, and then a TWSBI VAC 700, which is a very large pen. So you can see that the 92 is roughly the same length as kind of the Vanishing Point and the Safari. So I'm going to get this guy out of the way here. So I don't tend to write with my pens posted, so especially on piston fillers, I don't like to post because it just makes me a little squeamish. This guy does post. My boyfriend posted it when he wrote with it, but I just don't like to. So you can see that unposted, it's not a very large pen. I find that the Safari is a really good, happy size for me unposted. This guy works just fine because I don't mind smaller pens, but it's definitely a small pen unposted. So here you can see that in my hand. For me, you can see it still extends plenty far back, and it's a light pen, but I guess, you know, it's weighted well enough that I don't have a problem writing with it. You can see it does post, and it posts, pretty deeply, but to me now this is uncomfortable. It's a little bit long and a little bit, I don't know, it just feels goofy to me. But then again, I don't ever write with pens posted, so, but it does post, it posts quite well. And as long as you don't fiddle with the cap too much, I wouldn't worry too much about, you know, turning that piston knob or anything and winding up with ink everywhere. So let's clear these guys out of the way. So that's kind of the specs, I guess, for this guy. So let's talk about what I like and what I dislike, starting with what I like. I like the looks of the pen. Like, you may have noticed I have a couple of other demonstrators kind of a similar color scheme. While I love the, you know, the neon safaris and everything, I like kind of these classic pens that are still modern. You know, like a Mont Blanc, doesn't really appeal to me. Pelicans don't really appeal to me because those are just a little bit too classic. It's a little bit too older businessman. I like something that's modern, yet maybe classic isn't the word, but classy. I like something modern but classy. So I like the looks of this pen. I like the nib. You know, I've always had good luck with Pilot nibs. That doesn't mean that everyone will always have good luck with Pilot nibs, but I find that Pilot nibs are pretty much decent writers out of the box every time, which is good because I don't like to adjust my nibs. So I want something that will at least write okay right out of the box. This is a fine nib on this guy. You can see I left a little sticker on here. Oh, come on, focus. There we go. This is a fine nib, and Pilot fines are really fine. So this nib is actually a bit finer than what I would maybe prefer, but I would say it's probably on par with the Vanishing Point fine nib. I just find the fine nib and the Vanishing Point to be easier to handle, maybe because the pen is heavier. I don't know. But overall, I like Pilot nibs. And, okay, so last thing I like about this pen is that it has a decently large ink capacity. I don't have an actual number for you. I'm sure if you looked around online, you could find it. But, you know, I mean, it's at least on par with what you'd get in a Pilot cartridge or probably in like the Con 70 converter. Because as we know, like the Con 50 converter for Pilot is pathetically small. Ain't nobody got time for that. So those are the things that I like about this pen. What do I dislike about this pen? Let's start with kind of some things that, you know, wouldn't prevent me from buying the pen, and we'll work towards things that really influence how I feel about this pen. The first thing that I don't like about this, and it kind of ties into the second, is you can see, oh geez, sorry, I just knocked the stand that my camera's on. You can see that there's some ink kind of right up in here. By the way, the ink that's in here is Pilot Iroshizuku Murasaki Shikibu, because I felt like, you know, it's a Pilot pen, I should put a Pilot ink in it. So it's a dark purple indigo kind of ink. So there's some ink up in here, and I don't know how much of that is just kind of because the feed is translucent and, you know, just being able to see all of that. You can also maybe not see, but the nib itself kind of has like a purpley tint to it. So it makes me think that there's a thin little bit of ink kind of in all the crevices, which again could just be nib creep. So I'm not too concerned about that. What does concern me though, and I don't know if my camera will be able to get in close enough to actually pick this up. Oh, maybe it will. Is you can see right there, right there, there seems to be some liquid getting past the piston, which to me maybe says that the piston doesn't seal super well, or that it doesn't, maybe it needed to be lubed up. And you can also see down in here, and again, I don't know if that's ink or if it's water, but you can see little spots. It seems to me like there's little splatters of some sort of liquid back in this area here. And so, I mean, you know, that happens. You know, it's a dynamic kind of, What am I not able to figure? It's a dynamic system. System was the word I was looking for. I kept coming up with the universe and that wasn't right. It's a dynamic system. So, I mean, things are going to happen and that's not a big deal. What kind of concerns me about this pen is, back to that little note that I found earlier, is it says any attempt to remove the nib/neck assembly from the barrel of the pen may result in damage and will void the warranty. And so this is a picture that they give. So to me, it looks like they're saying, don't try to pull the nib and feed out of the collar. Which, if that's what they're saying, okay, I understand that. I understand that a pen manufacturer would probably want to discourage you from doing that, especially because it's a piston-sealed pen or piston filler pen. So there might be extra seals in there. I don't know. And I haven't actually tried this myself, and of course I won't right now because it is full of ink. But I didn't bother even to look and see if the nib and feed kind of the section will unscrew. But to me, it doesn't look like it because I don't see any... Yeah, I don't see any threads or anything in there. So to me, it seems like this pen is not really user serviceable, right? Like, I don't know how I would get in there and clean all of that out. So, which of course is something that you avoid when you have a cartridge-filled pen or a converter or, like a TWSBI where you can take it all apart. To me, I don't like pens that are kind of a black box. I don't like pens that I can't take apart fully to clean, especially like piston filler pens, because inevitably you're going to get ink in places where there shouldn't be. And it's not like I've been throwing this thing around. This guy has not left my apartment, and it's been, moved from one room to another, but nothing that I would consider unreasonable. So I don't know how ink is getting past the piston, but it doesn't seem to be a lot. It just seems to be a little tiny bit, but that still kind of annoys me. Okay, so then on to kind of the last thing that I dislike about the pen. So this pen's expensive, right? It's got a gold nib on it, so of course it's going to be expensive. And it seems to have different costs depending on where you get it from. So as of today, which is April 20th, 2015, this pen is $220 at Goulet, $133 on Jet Pens, and then if you get it off eBay from like a Japanese seller, it looks like you can get it for somewhere between $110 and about $130, and then you have the other color options as well. So, it's a more than $100 pen. It's in the same kind of price range as a Vanishing Point. And I don't have a problem with expensive pens being made out of plastic. So don't think that. To me, this pen doesn't feel expensive. If I grab my my Vista, these pens, the plastic on them feels the same, and it probably isn't. I'm sure that the plastic on the Pilot is of higher quality than on the Vista, but to me, like in my hand, these feel the same. This guy is a little bit heavier, I think probably because of the piston mechanism and a little bit more ink and all of that. But to me, these guys, I don't see where the $100 plus cost difference is between these two pens. So to me, the cost for what I get just doesn't quite seem to match up. The cost of the pen doesn't match up with what you get. And perhaps I'm just being unreasonable. Perhaps most of that cost is tied up in the gold nib. So of course, the rest of the body is about on par with what it would cost if you didn't have a gold nib in there. But to me at that point, then, you buy a Prera, and that's a $50 pen, which even that seems kind of expensive compared to a Safari. That's a $30 pen. So I don't want to harp on it too much, but to me it just seems like, at $130, okay, this seems like a decent deal for a pen with a gold nib and it's a piston filler. Okay, $130, I understand. When I start to see it above $200, I get confused because I don't see where that much value is in this pen. Is it a good writer? Yes. Has it got a large ink capacity? Yes. Good looks? Yes. I just don't, if I'm going to be paying $200 for this pen, or even $130 for this pen, I would feel like I need to keep it in a pen case all the time. A Safari, I can throw in my bag and I don't worry too much about it. They're indestructible, and even if they aren't, they're pretty cheap. This pen, I would feel like, yeah, it needs to be in a pen case all the time. It gets used when I can, really sit down and kind of, write contemplatively, especially because, it's got a screw-on cap and all of that. So to me, this pen fills a very different need that I just, I don't have need for it. I'm sure that if I had one, I would enjoy using it. But, if I'm going to be spending even $130 on a pen, I would probably sooner recommend a Vanishing Point or something else. It's a good pen. I like the pen. I like writing with the pen. I just can't recommend it for the cost. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just kind of stingy of me. But, to me, we all have to decide how we're going to spend our money on fountain pens and things like that. And this is not where I'd spend mine. Let me know if you think differently. I definitely think that, for a lot of people, this pen would be a great pen. My man friend loves it. I love it too. I just don't love the cost. And maybe if I saw it in a different color, I would love it more. I definitely could see, maybe if they had it in the same violet that the Custom Heritage, is it 72? 74. I think the 74. Maybe if they had it in that kind of light translucent violet, oh, I would love that one. But yeah, that's my thoughts. And I would maybe almost say that if you're going to spend this much money on a pen, get a Custom Heritage 74, because at least then, if something goes wrong, you could swap out your converter. It's entirely user serviceable, and you don't, and it probably holds about a similar amount of ink, because I think it has the Con 70 in it. So that's maybe what I would suggest if you're going to be spending this kind of money. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree, whatever. Let me know if you have one of these and you love it, or if you had one and you didn't love it and you don't have it anymore. I'd love to know. So yeah, that's what I got. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.